Welcome, everybody. I just thought that's funny. I might start doing something funny on the intro going in because my intros are so cold when they open. But welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Davis. I am a flawed man of God. I am a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about Christianity, talk about my perspectives on it, your perspectives on it. For me personally, been a Christian all my life, 39 years, non-denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the Word every day, trying to make sense of it and trying to explain it as best I can and give you kind of some insights and a look, a day in the life of, and see what being a Christian is all about, at least from my perspective, and see if this is something something that you can find and use as a something you can use as maybe a jumping off point to becoming a Christian. So if that's what you're looking for, welcome to the show. Love to have you here. Please be involved with the chat, ask questions, do what you can. If not, if you are here because you already are a Christian and you just like Christian conversation, welcome as well. We have a great chat here, and I encourage you to be part of it. It acts very much like a small group that you would find on a Wednesday night study group, and that is something that's really been awesome. And we just celebrated 100 of these types of episodes on this channel yesterday, and so I'm happy for everybody who's been a part of that. So without further ado, here's the show, and here I am. And apparently there's a delay. The YouTube has a delay. Can't see the whole intro clip. Okay, how much did you see, Nico? Welcome, by the way, and as you as well, Porcupine. Ugh. Itch. Itching right there in that awful part. Need a countdown. Yeah, that would be nice. I would love for StreamYards to have a countdown. Last 2 seconds. Wait, you only saw the last? Well, it only is 2 seconds, really. It's 11 seconds. Okay, we'll play it again. Hang on. Make one in what, in PowerPoint? No. Look, if you're in the military, literally is a cause of death by PowerPoint, and it's a cause of post-traumatic stress for me, and I can't deal with it. Okay, some veterans can't deal with fireworks. I can't deal with PowerPoint presentation near NAF. So no. But thank you for bringing up that trauma for me. Dude, that GIF, that meme set with that GIF has been great. I've seen so many different iterations of it. It's been great. Just within Christian circles, it's been great, but it works well outside of it. But I saw that one, and then I'm gonna. There's a lot of funny things if you follow me on. If you follow me on Facebook at all, or the Flawed Man of God Facebook page, then you'll see, or on Instagram, which Porcupine Mayhem can attest to. I post memes on there periodically. It's not something I stick to a lot, but I've seen a lot of good ones recently, so I've been putting them on there, and it's been great. And Nernath, thank you for being here tonight for the 101st episode of the Bible walkthroughs, though you missed the 100th episode, the centennial anniversary. You weren't there. We talked about the birth of Samuel, the next Nazarite in our walkthrough. So, but welcome to the show, both you guys. Porcupine, I guess since you're here, you want to see the guitar, right? I guess you want to see the guitar. So I know you teach every Monday. Hold on one second. Where's Porcupine at? I'm sitting there doing all this stuff for him, and he's not even in chat. He's probably listening, but he wanted to see my guitar. Let me back this up. So this is my electric guitar. It's a Gretsch Electromatic, and here, well, you're here, so there we go. It's in fine working condition. It is horribly out of tune. Oh, it's horribly out of tune. And I'm running a risk doing this because if my wife is at all staring at this stream, she's going to yell at me because she really wants me to learn how to play because she thinks it's very attractive in a man that he know when he can play. She would love for me to do that. And it's nice. It's a nice guitar. I spent a fair amount of money on it, and I was pretty fastidious at first at playing it, and $50 for lessons. It's not so much that, it's the time it takes. Can y'all not hear me? Am I muted? Hang on. Oh, okay, you can hear. The judge is back. All right. Judge is back. Text in Italian. If you're looking for the sound on the guitar, no, I'm not going to put you through that because I can't play. I can't play. Not yet. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. The other thing going for me on this, though, it's just a little bit, is I'm left-handed and I bought a right-handed guitar because I think most of my dexterity in my fingers is my left hand, obviously, and I figured that would be better for hitting the different notes and whatnot, as opposed to strumming with my right, which seems like it would require less dexterity. But I just need to. I said I need to spend time and really spend time. I thought I could teach myself with lessons on an app, and I think the problem with that, I think, is somebody can't tell you what you're doing wrong. So no, I'm right-brained, Nirnath. Before you go all Middle Eastern culture on me, I am left-handed. So I can do this with my right hand. I'm dexterous enough to do that. All right. So there we go. This is the greatness. So yeah, Porcupine, he thought my guitar was broken and I needed to fix it. So there it is. Oh, look, we got a couple of people I haven't seen in the chat before. Text in Italian, no sound. Hopefully you're still tuning in. Hopefully you can figure out what's going on. Do you by chance play video games? Of course I play video games. Of course I play video games. That's actually, so the way my schedule generally works is wake up, take care of kids. Wife does most of the heavy lifting. I make sure they get to school. She makes sure they get to school with everything that they need and dressed. I make sure they get to school. work, spend time with kids, or do things until 8 generally. I've had some couple of work things take up my time last couple of days. And then by the time I'm done streaming, pretty much everybody is in bed. And so I generally play video games for the rest of the evening until it's time for me to go to sleep. So yeah, big video game player, like a lot of different genres. Real time. I've been playing a lot of real time strategy recently. Just going back to the old stuff, Age of Empires 2, definitive edition. I've been playing a lot recently. I just love a real time strategy. Really, really gets into my brain, helps me relax in different ways, and gotta go to town. And doing my ADHD thing where I'm watching a TV show or watching a video game or watching a stream or listening to an audiobook, whatever. So hopefully that answers your question, Neo. Yes, I do. I am left-handed, and Texan Italian has now been healed miraculously on the stream. Don't send me any money for that, because I don't want that on my I don't want that on me. So, um, but yeah, as far as lessons on the guitar are, yeah, I mean, I'd have to carve out some time on it. I'm probably what I'm doing is in my job, is doing a lot of organizing right now, and setting a lot of things up. My goal is to have all that done by the end of the year. And once that happens, my anticipation is my schedule should balance out a little bit more. So maybe I do have a little bit more time for lessons. But right now, no, unless somebody's going to give me lessons at 10 in the evening, which I doubt. And that somebody like that giving lessons at 10 in the evening, I might worry about spending that kind of time with them. So, but thank you, Porcupine. Just keep hitting me up on that. Just keep bothering me about that, because I know that if I hear it from you and I hear it from the old lady, um, I'll probably just do it to get y'all off my back. I want to learn how to play. I do want to learn how to play. I should have learned how to play um, back when I was playing an orchestra and not have been a total nerd. Yeah, get a Zoom teacher. That's kind of what I'm doing. So what I've got is what's the app that I use? This is how long it's been that I don't even know where the app is. Where did it go? I know for daggone. I know for sure I didn't delete it. I wonder if they changed the logo. How embarrassing for me. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay, it's on my main screen. Justin Guitar. Justin Guitar. It's about $60 a month. So, and he gets. I mean, it's a cool little app, and it's got cool little things to teach you what you should be doing. And the guy gets on there and shows you what he's doing. The problem is, if I've got a function problem, if I've got a technical problem with how I'm positioning things, there's nobody to be like, "Hey, you doing this? Why don't you do this instead?" This is where that's where I think a real teacher will probably be helpful. But I wouldn't know because I didn't take lessons. And then, but we'll see. We'll see. So, well, welcome Texan Italian, and welcome Neo Rice, who asked me a question and then dipped out. But maybe you got the answer to his question. Maybe you're just listening. It happens. Um, Welcome to the chat. Dresden, welcome in here. You're late, but we haven't gotten down to the meat yet. So. You were here yesterday for the birth of Samuel, which we liked, right? $60 for an app, damn. It's $60 a year for the app, but it's worth it if you're playing for that. If you're paying for lessons, that's really That's really cheap. pay private lessons. Rubles exchange rate very low. In Soviet Russia, guitar teach you. Yes. benevolent guitar is benevolent. So, oh man, there was something I wanted to talk about tonight. Oh yeah, I remember Rittenhouse. Did anybody see Kyle? Have we checked on our boy Kyle Rittenhouse recently? Um, he's being it was a topic of discussion recently, and yeah, he's just doing cringy early 20s kid things when exposed to a lot of pressure or under a lot of scrutiny. Talk about moving? No, I'm not moving. Yeah. No, not that thought. Yeah. Um, look, what you want is Kyle to meet a nice, wholesome lady and settle down and have lots of babies who are expert marksmen, right? Right? But no, he has got some blonde chick who clearly has lip implants. it's it's bad. It's bad. Look, I did dumb stuff in my late teens and early 20s. You probably did dumb stuff in your late teens and early 20s. The good thing for us was we didn't have a spotlight on us in all likelihood, and we were able to get over that. He doesn't, and he's got a lot of people trying to hang on him. So, so say a prayer for people in general who are kind of in weird and awkward places in their lives, and hope that they can get through it. So, yeah, the Dresden Dresden sums it up well. I understand Kyle's mindset, but dude, just stop. That's what most of us think. Dude, just stop. If you can't, man, he's got to. I guess. She looks like she probably was really pretty before the lips thing. So, well, whatever. Everybody's got their speed in attractiveness. So, just looks weird to me. So, we won't be Kyle simping here. Maybe if we ever get in a discussion about what happened and on that night and how well how well his aim was, that's a whole discussion. So no father figure. Yeah. I didn't see a clip or anything, but I'm happy he's able to be cringe and be a normal kid after what he went through. Yeah. Yeah. Now he has to go to jail for being cringy, though. Nurnath, I work for the government. So dumb. So did I. So did I at the same time. But man, I was an absolute jackass of a human being from age 18 to probably more so 19. From age 19 to 23, 24. Did stupid stuff. I had stupid opinions. And it gradually got better the closer I got to 30. And so a lot of that was having a well-grounded wife who would not be afraid to tell me that I need to rethink some things. Why don't you just reassess the situation, Stuart? In Dresden, although that chick is bad, not as bad as his first set of lawyers. Yeah, well, not as bad as that whole situation to begin with. So, welcome everybody this evening. We will be talking about Samuel tonight. Glad we're all coming in with opinions on things and chatty this morning. We get 20 minutes of small talk before we get into the episode proper. So let me open Brave. So what we talked about last night was 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel is the beginning, as I spoke about it last night. This is the beginning of the kings of Israel, let's call it kings of the Israelites story arc, and this will last for a good little while. So we had the the Genesis arc, and then we had the Exodus arc, and then we had the Judges, the Joshua Judges arc, and Ruth fell into that. Now we're starting. Now we're starting to see where the kings are. So Samuel is born. Samuel was born from a woman and a man, or woman who was barren and without child. Now her husband also had another wife, and he had kids through her. Hannah was having a rough time, and so the so what happens is the Noah. I walked right into that. I'm ashamed of myself as a dad that I didn't think of that first, Nernath. But Hannah's having a rough go of it. Again, we talk about culture in general. Women have a desire to have kids, and when they can't, they take that very personally, and understandably so. But it's even more of a big deal back then in that particular culture and culture worldwide. I mean, we know, motherly instincts, but also, how the society looks down. And she couldn't have kids. And so it was a big strain on her. The other wife was apparently harassing her about it, making fun of her about it. And she finally just poured her heart out to God at the temple. The priest Eli saw her do it, and she just poured herself out. And what she did was, she promised if she could have a kid, have a son, I think specifically, she would dedicate him to the service of God. And he did. And he opened her womb, and she conceived with her husband and gave birth to Samuel. And in fact, the name Samuel, if we go back, she named him Samuel, saying, "Because I asked the Lord for him." And then she dedicates him, right? And she follows through. And one of the things we talked about just a wee bit is follow through in Christianity. We ask for a lot often. We make lots of prayers, and sometimes those prayers involve some bargaining. Always be careful with what you do on that end. But when you're reflective, when you're praying, when you're trying to improve yourself, I need to do X. I need to cut X out of my life. I need to do more X to walk a life closer to Christ. It's easy. It's just like a New Year's resolution, right? It's easy to say it. It's harder to put it into practice. And that's where your follow through is, right? Especially when there's sacrifice involved. And what Hannah did was sacrifice. She was given a great gift. She was allowed to finally have a kid. And, it was made even sweeter because she had longed for one for so long and had been denied that. But once she gets him, as soon as he's weaned, she gives him to the temple, her son. And if you have kids, or you can look at your wife if she has kids, she will. That how special that bond is for your first child, your first son, first whatever. It's strong. And she didn't think she was ever going to get it. And as soon as she gets it, as soon as he's weaned, he goes to the temple. And the Lord continues to bless her. She has, what is it? I think 3 sons and 2 daughters afterwards. So she gets busy, right? She gets busy afterwards. So she's got plenty more kids. But that first part and that follow through and doing what she said, that's a strong thing to do. And good for her, because Samuel, he's a good dude. And so we're going to go through a little bit of his youth and go through some other stuff tonight. Because and leading into this, while Samuel is good, and as he's going through the, I guess the training to be a priest, because he was dedicated to the priesthood. Um, he was following under the mentorship of Eli. And Eli has two sons who are also priests, but they are wicked priests. They are they're not good guys. And they've basically pissed God off. And God's basically telling Eli, your line is going to end, or the men in your line will be cut down in their prime. So um, that's not good. But it sounds like he's setting things up for Samuel pretty well. Sorry, checking up on my fantasy baseball lineup. I'm in the playoffs, semifinals. All right. So with that said, 1 Samuel chapter 3, the Lord calls Samuel. The boy Samuel ministered before the Lord under Eli. In those days, the word of the Lord was rare. There were not many visions. One night, Eli, whose eyes were becoming so weak that he could barely see, was lying down in his usual place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out. And Samuel was lying down in the house of the Lord where the ark of God was, ark of the covenant. And then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, here I am. And he ran to Eli and said, here I am. You called me. But Eli said, I did not call. Go back and lie down. So he went and lay down. Again, the Lord called, Samuel. And Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, here I am. You called me. My son, Eli said, I did not call. Go back and lie down. So is this the this must be the equivalent of the doorbell ringing and running off prank that God can play. A third time the Lord called Samuel, and Samuel got up and went to Eli and said, here I am, you called me. Then Eli realized that the Lord was calling the boy. So Eli told Samuel, go and lie down, and if he calls you, say, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. So Samuel went down and lay down in his place. So Samuel went and laid down in his place. The Lord came and stood there, calling as the other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, speak, for your servant is listening. And the Lord said to Samuel, see, I'm about to do something in Israel that will make the ears of everyone who hears about it tingle. At that time, I will carry out against Eli everything I spoke against his family, from beginning to end. For I told him that I would judge his family forever because of the sin he knew about. His sons blasphemed God, and he failed to restrain them. Therefore, I swore to the house of Eli, the guilt of Eli's house will never be atoned for by sacrifice or offering. Samuel lay down until morning, and then opened the doors of the house of the Lord. He was afraid to tell Eli the vision. But Eli called to him and said, Samuel, my son. And Samuel said, here I am. And if Eli really wanted to be funny, he could have said, I didn't call you. What was it he said to you? Eli asked. Do not hide it from me. May God deal with you, be it ever so severely, if you hide from me anything he told you. So Samuel told him everything, hiding nothing from him. Then Eli said, he is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes. The Lord was with Samuel as he grew up, and he let none of Samuel's words fall to the ground. And all Israel, from Dan to Beersheba, recognized that Samuel was attested as prophet of the Lord. The Lord continued to appear at Shiloh, and there he revealed himself to Samuel through his word. All right. So how old is... All right, so let's go back. First off, Blaine, welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, you're Nath. Wonder why Samuel thought it was Eli's voice. Maybe because Eli did a better job speaking God's word to Samuel than his own kids. Yeah. Well, Eli falls into the same this is what, and it's not, I don't think it's the first time we've talked about this. It's definitely not going to be the last because we've got some big examples coming up. But the old stereotype about the pastor's kids, pastor's son, the pastor's daughter, being wild child, right? Being all over the place and falling into apostasy or just hedonism or just losing their way for a while. It happens a lot. And I don't know why. It's not an environment I grew up in or around. So I don't know why they do the things that they do. Maybe it has something to do with the strictness that they're brought up in. I don't know. But this same stuff has happened. It happened with Aaron for a while. We've already seen that with him. It happened with some of, I mean, look at Cain and Abel, right? But great men having sons that were quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. Nernaeth, everyone knows a pastor's daughter. Yeah. Yeah. But Eli apparently has the same problem. And I think that Eli's problem is one we can relate to. If I don't try to pull this off, if I'm not trying to be too contrived in this, for I told him I would judge his family forever because of the sin. Here, that's the punishment's not the point that I'm trying to get at here. I mean, the punishment for Eli's family is severe, but we don't see that really um, now that Christ has come and died for our sins. We don't have the sins of the father really coming into play. But the question is, why is God angry? Right? Because that's what we're trying to avoid. We're try to avoid doing the things that disappoint God. We're going to do things, but we were trying to mitigate that, right? We're trying to mitigate that, cut back as much as possible. But this one's a big one. Because of the sin he knew about, his sons blasphemed God and he failed to restrain them. Now, in the church culture as a group, um, we have got a lot of people out there talking about God and claiming that they've got the right beat on it. Where you try to with the real test is, does it hold up against scripture? And I'm not saying this in a sola scriptura doctrine sense, but if something is running contrary to scripture, it's wrong. Not that something, and what you see like that is what you see with ECLA, ELCA, ELCA, yeah, ELCA, Lutherans, and a lot of egalitarian churches and places where God's word and God's commands towards us are ignored in the name of grace. In the name of grace. But really what the intention behind that is, we don't want to upset people. We don't want to let people know that there are standards that they need to meet if they are going to live a life seeking Christ. Don't worry about what God said or what Jesus said to the woman who he saved from being stoned, saying, "Go forth and sin no more." They focus mostly on the men who were going to throw the stones. And while that's a very important piece, it's a very important piece. It's not the whole story. There's two sides to it, right? One is for the people who are accusing, and the other is for the person who committed a sin, right? It's one of us, for us doing the accusing, is that we are not perfect ourselves. But us not being perfect, you enter into that whataboutism. Us not being perfect does not excuse the other person for not being perfect and not falling short. And it doesn't excuse sin. And so they do one of two things. They try to ignore that the thing is a sin to begin with and try to twist scripture to cover it up, which doesn't have any founding in church history until literally 1950 or so, that you start to see this modern that level of modernization hit. There's always been Satan's attempt to corrupt the church from the beginning, but this new interpretation of what all this, the egalitarian, the feminism, the acceptance of certain sins, that's most notably sexual sins. This is all very new stuff. This is not stuff, but they say, "Oh, well, we know what the interpretation is now." Well, if you knew what the know what the interpretation is now, why didn't the people closest to the culture at that time see it your way? Because they don't. They didn't. And that's the dumb part of it. That's the whole dumb premise behind it. And these are the folks that I believe, not so much the congregants, because they're being preached to. Though we have culpability for our own actions. But the real people here are the pastors, the people who should know better. And the fact that we struggle to find a way to gatekeep Christianity as much as possible. We can't even get along with each other. Calvinists can't get along with for free will folks, and Orthodox can't get along with Protestants, can't get along with Catholics, can't get along with whatever. We have we're so busy infighting that and pointing fingers at each other that we forget that we should be watching our own house. So anyway, how old is Samuel at this point? I think he's pretty young. Arminians, thank you. Yes, thanks, Nernath. I always mess that up. I think he's pretty young. We're talking like late adolescence, I would say, mid to late adolescence, where what it sounds like for me, right? Because it's saying, because after it says Lord was with Samuel as he grew up, right? So how old is Samuel? Preston said too old. Nernath was always told he was a kid, but that might have made for a relatable Sunday school story. Nico could probably guess based on other people's ages subtracted from his death age. It's always difficult. It's always difficult to nail this down. Nernath, David and Goliath, he was a young adult to rip lions and bears in half. Yeah. Still, even a young adult, he is ripped. Chunk Yogurt likes to deny they exist. Yeah, not Armenians. Chunk Yogurt, whatever his stupid name is, likes to deny they exist. Yeah. John Smoth, only baby Calvinists don't believe in free will. They need to read some Calvin and Jonathan Edwards. Yeah, once I'm able to get in touch and set up I'm behind on a couple of things, and there are some interviews that I'm chasing down that I want to do. And then there's some other ones I need to set up. I need to get Eric Rollon back on here. And I know I'm going to get some grief about that from Nernath because I haven't done it yet. I need to get the other Paul on here. He's going to talk about Calvinism, and probably do a good job explaining to you guys and myself what the whole thing is about. So, John, you might be interested in that. And third, want to get Remy Shepard on here talking about Remy Shepard here to talk about friendship, friendship with the opposite gender. Just a casual discussion. I'm talking to a couple of folks about coming on the program to discuss things, guys who are bigger than me. I need to get Billy Dyer back on here to talk about things, and I've got a couple of other things popping up in my brain. Some local youth ministers to come on and talk about things, but I'm gonna have to discuss things. Oh, look, I'm getting the dreaded lag signal from StreamYards. Great. So we'll see how all that goes. Underneath, Eric, who is he? I think I knew him in a former life. I haven't reached out to him in a while to ask how he's doing. We used to keep tabs on each other pretty closely. We would get on and we'd do a lot of gaming together, but haven't done that recently. Need to get him on here more. So need to get back into a routine with him, because he and I are very similar in that routines help us, I believe. So yeah, anyway, that I thought was a big part. Eli's family is punished because they didn't revere and protect the word of God. And just because Eli was pious in and righteous in his personal behavior, he did not stand up for God when his family was doing it. He did not rebuke them. He did not excommunicate them for whatever. So I could be Eric. I'll wear a wig and talk in a funny voice. I think Eric sounds like Dane Cook. I really do. He always his voice to me sounds like Dane Cook's voice, who I think is funny. I don't understand all the thing. I get that he ripped off people's jokes or whatnot. He was still very funny. All right. So that's where we were with that. And so basically Samuel comes over and talks to him and tells him what he's going to do and what he was told. And Eli takes it in stride. And I think Eli knows what his weakness is here, and he knows that he should have done a better job. Eli is resigned to his fate. He is the Lord. Let him do what is good in his eyes. Right? But Samuel, that's not the joke that's funny as how you tell it. Yeah, that's what Bill Burr says that Dane Cook did stuff that he didn't really act like a comedian, but everything he said just resonated with the crowd. But yeah, while Eli and his family are about to be punished, Samuel is going to be living with the blessings of God. He is getting a lot of words from God. Again, what a special blessing to have your ears opened to the voice of God. And he became very famous as a result of it. So 4 begins with the end of that part. And Samuel's word came to all of Israel. It will, I tell you. Like this chapter, not what you preach, but what you live that matters. Like this chapter, not what you preach, but what you live that matters. That's right. That's right. I mean, and like I said, Eli could be a good guy, a great guy. And that's what, by all accounts, he is, except for this one flaw, or this one big flaw that they're pointing out. He did not keep his sons in check. And that is something that we know as fathers is a difficult and scary thing to do, but it's also our responsibility as men and as parents, as fathers to our sons, is to hold them accountable. Let them know, look, I'll tell my son, I love you no matter where you end up. I love you, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to hold you accountable for what you did. But even though I hold you accountable, I want to be there to help you redeem yourself and work to not screw up or be less of a screw up or whatever. So, because that's what you live life. That's what you live life as when you're a parent. Is constant worry that your kids are picking up on the good things that you want them to learn and not picking up on your bad habits. I want my son, I want my daughter to be better than me. I want my son to be better than me. I want my daughter to be better than my wife. Because personality wise, they take up after us so much. But it helps. I tell them, like, look, we are so alike in personality that you have a great gift that you can come to me with questions and I can give you advice on feeling not just being in the same place that you've been, but feeling some of the same ways. And I can tell you the mistakes I made, and you can use that to be better. And then you can pass that on to your kids, whether your son or your daughter, whoever takes after you. You've got more of an insight to things than you did before. So, and Eli failed in that regard, and his family was punished. They had the Lord's specific attention on them, which is it's not generally a good thing. There's specific attention that Samuel gets, and then there's specific attention that Eli's family gets. So, the Philistines capture the ark. Great idea. Great idea. Now, the Israelites went out to fight against the Philistines. The Israelites camped at Ebenezer and the Philistines at Aphek. The Philistines deployed their forces to meet Israel, and as the battle spread, Israel was defeated by the Philistines, who killed about 4,000 of them on the battlefield. When the soldiers returned to camp, the elders of Israel asked, "Why did the Lord bring defeat on us today before the Philistines?" Which is a good question to ask always when you're the Israelites, because God is supposed to be on your side unless you're screwing around. Faithful and obedient, God helps you. Screwing up and doing whatever the hell you want, he lets you go and lets you get your tail whooped. So, why did the Lord bring defeat on us today before the Philistines? Let us bring the ark of the Lord's covenant from Shiloh, so that he may go with us and save us from the hand of our enemies. So the people sent men to Shiloh. Maybe we should ask God first why this is a problem. So the people sent men to Shiloh, and they brought back the ark of the covenant of the Lord Almighty, who is enthroned between the cherubim. And Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, were there at the ark of the covenant of God. Setting up too well for this. When the ark of the Lord's covenant came into the camp, all Israel raised such a great shout that the ground shook. Hearing the uproar, the Philistines asked, "What's all this shouting up in the Hebrew camp? What are the Hebes doing right now? What are they up to? What are they plotting about?" When they learned that the ark of the Lord had come into the camp, the Philistines were afraid, because they know a God has come into the camp. Not any God, the God. God has come into the camp, they said. They don't know that any better right now, because that's why they're the Philistines. A God has come into the camp, they said. "Oh no, nothing like this has happened before. We're doomed. Who will deliver us from the hands of these mighty gods? They are the gods who struck the Egyptian with all kinds of plagues in the wilderness." Look, the Philistines remember this. Why did the Israelites always forget? "Be strong, Philistines. Be men, or you will be subject to the Hebrews, as they have been to you. Be men and fight." Not bad, Philistines. If only you could just accept God as your king and deity, as maybe you guys would be all right, but nope. But they were strong and fought. So the Philistines fought, and the Israelites were defeated, and every man fled to his tent. The slaughter was very great. Israel lost 30,000 foot soldiers. The ark of God was captured, and Eli's two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, died. Wish we'd have seen. No, I wish the Bible had gone into better detail of how they died. But whatever. I mean, God said he was going to do it, and it happened. Oh well, can't get in its way. The Lord's will be done. So, Nernath, they were supposed to open it and make it work. Didn't the Israelites see Indiana Jones? I mean, look. Good point. Nico, good point. The Israelites had the memory of a goldfish. That does seem like that they just can't help themselves. Nernath, somebody brought up an interesting point about Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's pointless. Indiana Jones' role in that whole movie is pointless. The Nazis go out looking for the ark. The Nazis find the ark. The Nazis open the ark. The Nazis die. All that would have happened if Indiana Jones was not there. Blew my mind. Blew my mind. Still good to watch. Oh, it's still a great movie to watch. But interesting when you listen when you watch it in that with that perspective that he's totally irrelevant. All right. The death of Eli, and this will be our last segment of the evening. That same day, a Benjamite ran from the battle line and went to Shiloh with his clothes torn and dust on his head. When he arrived, there was Eli sitting on his chair by the side of the road watching because his heart feared for the ark of God. Yeah, I wonder why. When the man entered the town and told what happened, the whole town sent up a cry. Eli heard the outcry and asked, "What is the meaning of this uproar?" The man hurried over to Eli, who was 98 years old and whose eyes had failed so that he could not see. He told Eli, "I have just come from the battle line. I fled from it this very day." Eli asked, "What happened, my son?" The man who brought the news replied, "Israel fled before the Philistines, and the army has suffered heavy losses. Also, your two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." When he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell backward off of his chair by the side of the gate. His neck was broken, and he died, for he was an old man, and he was heavy. Because of course he was, right? We all knew this. For he was an old man, and he was heavy. He had led Israel 40 years. So we find out Eli is not just a leader, but he's also not just a lead head priest. He's also a judge for 40 years. His daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, was pregnant and near the time of the delivery. When she heard the news about the ark of God, there were the news that the ark of God had been captured and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead. She went into labor, gave birth, but was overcome by her labor pains. As she was dying, the woman attending her said, "Don't despair. You have given birth to a son." But she did not respond or pay any attention. She named the boy Ichabod, saying, "The glory has departed from Israel." Because of the capture of the ark of God and the deaths of her father-in-law and her husband, she said, the glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of the Lord has been, or the ark of God has been captured. Look, it doesn't matter if he was heavy. 98-year-old man, frail, falls backward in his chair, it snaps his neck. Look, old folks start falling. It's not a good thing, and a lot of times they don't recover. If any of y'all have been around a lot of elderly, you know that's true. Falls are terrible. Don't fall down when you get old. They either cause damage or they are an indication that other stuff up here is going on. It's not good. Falls aren't good. I've fallen and I can't get up. It's a real worry, folks. Also, it's a good reason to check in on your elderly parents or family members. Yeah, don't be falling. My mom dislocated her shoulder recently. Yeah, well, hopefully she has a speedy recovery in her nath. So what do we see here? All right, so Israel gets its tail kicked. Ark of God is captured. Ark of God, Ark of the Covenant. Eli's sons are killed, which we knew was going to happen. And then news gets to Eli. Eli basically dies as a result of it. And then Phinehas's wife dies basically giving childbirth, and she names her boy Ichabod, and she basically says God's departed from Israel. And that's not necessarily true. But it's not a very good indication. This is a big deal. The Ark of the Covenant is the seat in which God chooses to appear for Israel, right? Basically the throne. and he has allowed it to fall into the hands of the Philistines because he wouldn't have done it if it didn't matter. He knew, and this is a well, no, I take that back. She is correct. The glory has departed from Israel because the ark is gone. This is very much a sign from God saying, "Hey, I'm not, this is how it's going to be right now because this is how you are." Not necessarily because Eli was bad, but Eli's sons probably have done a great job corrupting the Israelites. It doesn't take a lot of encouragement to get the Israelites to sin. Okay, we know this. Sinai, uh, literally all throughout Judges, doing evil in the sight of the Lord. We know it doesn't take all that much. And because of that, they're basically in this cycle again. But we have the death of a judge in Eli, but we also have the raising of a Nazarite in Samuel. So how is Samuel going to react to this? Because we don't know yet. He's not here for all. We haven't heard. Maybe we'll find out next time we speak, which will probably be tomorrow. And we'll see. I'm going to try to start the stream on the normal time of 8 o'clock tomorrow. But again, like I said, soccer practice is starting up for my son. And so that is priority number one. And so if that means I have to start the stream late on those days, I will. It shouldn't be like Friday nights. Friday nights we have this past soccer season. Friday nights was, we had his practice, and then we had to get him settled down, and then do family movie night, and then I could stream. And it was just like, no, it's just too much in one day. Let's just do it. Let's just do whatever. So I'm not going to do that. Nico said, cough, Joe Biden, cough. Joe Biden, and I'm not afraid to say this on stream, Joe Biden has dementia. Joe Biden has moderate, at the minimum, Joe Biden has moderate dementia. The man is very much not in his right mind. It is very clear. And my wife, who works around this a lot, said it from when he was on the campaign trail. She said he's checking box after box of someone with dementia. When he speaks, it's not, Biden's always been a gaffe machine, but these aren't gaffes. This is like jumbling of words and losing your place and just walking off in odd directions. Not just walking off, literally walking off in odd directions to where Secret Service has to literally hold your hand. But also the fact that his conversations go off in odd directions. We have a president who is legitimately in brain failure. So our nation needs a lot of prayer for how we act, even the righteous among us. Even the righteous among us have to worry about how we're acting in these times, because there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resentment, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of confusion. There is a lot of sin in this world, and it feels like there's more now than there's ever been in recent memory, but maybe it's just more apparent. I don't know. Hey, Neo, see, all right, sticking around, Neo. I'm glad you have. Look, I don't look. The expectation is not that you that you're in the chat and being big contributors like we see with Nernath or Nico. I appreciate, but I'm always encourage you to whenever you feel like you've got something to say it. Neo and Italian Texan, because we've got other folks like John Smoth, Dresden generally. Sometimes Dresden is pretty talkative, but Dresden's more, and Porcupine Mayhem. There are folks who are catching the stream live, and they might be listening, or they just don't have much to say, or just can't readily get to the chat. I'm just happy you're here. And I'll let you know if you've got something to say. Let me know. I'm gonna read it. I'll respond to it. And I'm not going to be rude for the most part. I can be, but that's only if it's like if there's like actual disrespect, intentional disrespect behind it. So I know you're here, Dresden. Like I said, a lot of them, a lot of folks in the chat just kind of lurk, and that's fine too. That's fine too. And yeah. So, and so Nernath said no hope for Corn Pop. He has trouble going up the stairs. He's going, yeah. So, and Neo says, I just hope he doesn't fall out of his chair. No, he just found a little girl in that random direction. Dogface Pony Soldier, get me some MAGA horses with little hairy legs. I was a bad dude named Corn Pop. It's 2:30 a.m. Dresden, go to bed. But yeah, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. And normally you know what? I take it back. We can talk more about that on the Friday night stream because that's the off topic night. So we'll talk more about, if you want to talk politics, we'll talk a little bit of politics there. So Blaine, I always wonder about these instances if God forces the L or just goes hands off because he knows they'll lose, or if there's even a difference outside of the brain exercise. Build a shelf, Dresden. No, you're not. Or Dresden's probably talking to me. You're not my dad. You're not my real dad. If you're up, build something. It's actually good advice. I should probably. Or learn to play guitar. Go learn to play guitar, Dresden. Anyway, so Blaine, for what you're talking about, I always wonder about these instances God forces the L. I think it varies from time to time. I think sometimes he does, and sometimes he just goes, now you'll see what's happening when I'm not here to bless you, or other times where he's actually on the other side. I don't think it matters one way or the other. I think there are times where he says one way or the other, and it's not always that clear. So, but it really doesn't matter because the outcome, we see what the outcomes are. So yeah, I assume that the Israelites can hold their own sometimes for some time before things get bad, but we see how often they're conquered when God decides, I'm not going to be on your side anymore. So I don't know if that's because he's acting actively against them or if he's just taking away their blessing. Be a good question. Be a good question for other people who are better scholars than I, or perhaps ask the man yourself when and what time you meet him, which will hopefully not be soon for any of us. So I make food when I wake up early, don't have to cool later. The rest of my family disapproves of that. All right, guys. All right. Nice hour in here. Lively chat tonight, guys. Glad having you guys. Always good. Always fun when you guys are most active. So I appreciate that. All right. So with that said, like I said, tomorrow's stream might be at the same time. I'm going to try to get it back to 8 o'clock. I like having it at a set time. I don't like having to extend it. But it is what it is. Family first, right? So what the heck. So Nernath, what disapproves of cooking? What are they, cannibal? Oh no, Dresden family disapproves of playing guitar. What are they, non-instrumental Church of Christ members? Yeah, Nernath, my first thought was not that they were disapproving of cooking. They might have disapproved of Dresden's cooking. Like if he cooks like me, they probably don't want to make it anything. So one of the things you probably will never see from me is a locals cooking stream. I've thought about doing locals. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe when the group gets bigger. So never cook at midnight in a pescatarian home. Because you're pescatarian doesn't mean you have to cook fish. It just means if you're going to cook meat, you can only cook fish. So cooking at midnight's bad. Well, any type of smell, really, food smell. Because if you wake somebody up at midnight, if you wake me up at bacon, I'm going to be excited. I'm going to be excited to be woken up. But then at the same time, it's like but I got to get back to sleep. What is GC's SE food? GCSE. Break down that acronym for me, Dresden, if you don't mind. Just cut an onion in half and throw it in the oven. It doesn't matter what you cook. The home will smell great. High school exams in the UK? What does that have to do with food? I'm so confused right now, Dresden. I'm so confused. I'm just going to randomly. I'm just going to sing Good, Good Father and over until you explain what it means. General Certificate of Secondary Education. Oh, it's like home ec. Oh, okay. Home ec. Okay, that makes more sense. Like that's what I was thinking it was, kind of, maybe. Like I had thought it crossed my mind, but it didn't make sense that there was a Anyway. All right, guys. Well, you've been a great chat as always. The more the merrier. And I'll go through my normal goodbyes. I got a couple of or good nights and thank yous. Nico, Porcupine, Nernaeth, Italian Texan. Or I'm sorry, Texan Italian. Jeez. Nia Rice, welcome. Hopefully, you guys, if you're new, you found something pretty exciting. Blaine, welcome in, and John Smoth, and I think that's it. I think those are the only folks who've dropped by. So, oh, Stuart, set up to raid Greg. I don't know what that's all. I don't know how to do that. Go find Power Keg Greg's stream. I need to raid Andrew or Snowboards stream again, but that's not until Thursday. Dresden, I've got big brains, and Blaine's Escape Corner download Gundam. Yes, I might do that tonight. I'll at least take a look at it. I heard it's an FPS. I met Greg. He's shorter than I thought. Yeah, he's not a tall dude, but dude has a very good weight loss story, and he is in much better shape than he used to be, allegedly, because I didn't know him beforehand, but apparently used to be much heavier. Went to the gym, started going to the gym, goes to the gym, works out. He's a cool dude. Like talking to him. He's got that very even keel personality with, but very based opinions. So, all right. With that said, guys, again, I can't thank you. I'll keep saying thank you, but I can't thank you enough for stopping by and blessing me with good company while I sit here and talk about the good news and the word of God. So, yes, I think he could survive falling out of a chair, but you never know. That's what we talk about. You get in a fist fight, you get in a shoving contest with somebody, they fall down, hit their head, then it's lights out forever. You never know. No. Anyway, Blaine says he's playing Gundam in 20. If you want to taste, I'll see what I can do. I need to, Blaine, I'll send you my Steam name handle, and we'll connect. All right, guys. Y'all all have a very good night. Talk to you tomorrow. Good night, and God bless.